Welcome into another Q&A, and this time it's a social six as we welcome in Shirley Leigh Wood Oakes, partner and CEO of Mezcal Campante. Did I say that right? Your name, the company's name. Did I go 2 for 2?
You got it perfectly right. I'm impressed. Well done.
I was very nervous because I did it correct before, but it's always a chance I screw that up once I hit the actual record button.
No, you did great. It's a mouthful, I know.
Well, I understand that. You know, my daughter, we use both her first and middle name. Usually when we call her Mary Addison, we do have a nickname Addie for short. But you know, so I'm used to those long names, and it doesn't flow too bad either.
And you said Campante perfectly, so
I've been having some practice. I wanted to practice, and as you can see on the screen, here's the bottle that I have, and I'm going to sample a little bit as we talk. And, you know, Shirley, as kind of my first question is probably maybe the most simple, but maybe not, because sometimes these are always interesting. But how did you get into the spirits industry in the world of Mezcal?
Oh, how long do we have? I guess, you know what? I'm going to take that question in 2 parts. 1, how did I get into the spirits business? And then 2, how did I get into Mezcal? Because that's a really important part. But, you know, in my career over the years, the spirits industry has always been a big part of it. Whether that be representing various different brands on the marketing and communication side, from being a part of a team, building different brands. I've had such an honor working with some of the leading brands in the industry today. And that ranges everything from, you know, big commercial brands, which we all know, all the way through to little brands when they were startups, really starting with just a liquid and a bottle. And we managed, you know, I worked on them with incredible teams and amazing, you know, founders and partners to really build some interesting concepts and brands that we know today. So, you know, I've had that honor and that joy of doing that. And while working on that side, I started to really be interested and spend quite a bit of time getting to know how to build a spirits brand. I have to say I'm learning every day. I think everyone is always learning with the spirits industry. And as that was evolving, you know, Mezcal was always there. So leading on to how I got into Mezcal, I have been an agave spirits lover from day one. I was always a tequila girl. I always joke with my mom that she used to put tequila on my gums when I was a baby teething. She always tells me not to tell this story because she's like, I'll get done for, you know, child abuse. I'm like, no, it's such a wonderful, like, heartwarming story and personal. And, you know, every time I was in Mexico drinking tequila, and I loved it. And from the kind of age I was allowed to start drinking, tequila was a spirit that I always gravitated to. And I loved agave spirits. I loved discovering new ones. And Mezcal, you know, Mezcal is such an incredible spirit, and it's an amazing category. But it's a lot, you know, there's a lot to learn about Mezcal. Anyway, I had the chance to start really diving into that world and getting to know it. And the more I got to know about it, the more I loved it. And, you know, all the different varieties of agaves and different types of mezcal and different ways it can be made. And artisanal mezcal is just, you know, it's such a beautiful process. So on my journey, I started going down that path with mezcal, and this is where I am today, not looking back. Mezcal is now all I drink. Sorry, tequila, but mezcal is where I am today, and this is Mezcal Campante.
Well, and it's funny too, like you talk about, you know, putting tequila, you know, on your gums when you're teething. That is not foreign. Well, maybe tequila to some, but bourbon, whiskey, that is not. You can tell your mom it's not unheard of. Definitely not unheard of.
I'm not sure we're allowed to do it so much now, but yeah, it's not unheard of. People used to do it. Old wives' remedy.
Exactly. And you talk about getting into mezcal and then becoming, now you're the partner and CEO of Mezcal Campante. What pushed you guys to launch this brand and bring it to market?
So I feel that the partners, we all have our own paths of how we came to Mezcal Campante. And I think that's really beautiful. But one of the things that, even though we took different paths to get to this point, there was one main, like one really strong thread that runs through all of our stories of getting to this point. And that was that we all had this love for and passion for mezcal in our own different ways. But we were on this journey to find a mezcal that one could really enjoy, one could put in the center of the table, and all their friends and family come together and enjoy it as well. And we all felt that we kept hearing like, oh, I don't drink mezcal, it's too smoky, it's too much for me. And it especially used to break my heart, because I was like, it doesn't have to be that way. You just haven't found the mezcal that you like right now yet on your palate. And, there's so much to discover, but that's a lot for people, wanting to take a step into drinking, a new spirit or what they think is a new spirit, because mezcal's been here for a long time. It's just now that everyone's like, oh, mezcal. I'm like, no, it's been around for a long time, guys. This isn't new. But, and I think that was really the common thread of the partners coming together and Campante. Jose Luis, who's our partner, he's one of the founding partners. He originally created Campante to be a mezcal at his beautiful hotel in Oaxaca, Hotel Azul. And then myself and one of the other partners had the privilege of meeting him, trying the mezcal. He really was just using it, having it for the hotel and for, friends and family. And, it was a beautiful mezcal. And we came in and we all just came together around this amazing bottle and this exceptional spirit. And it really was like love at first sight. We all bonded and we sat there and we were like, what are we going to do with this? And that's really where Mezcal Campante came about, and where we are now is, we had an exceptional spirit. We really felt that it hit the nail on the head of what we wanted to do, which was have a mezcal that was exceptionally smooth, that you could put in the center of the table. It was very well balanced, and people could really enjoy it and drink it and open up their eyes and their understanding to mezcal. Help them take that first step with a beautiful artisanal, still premium, still made the same way that it's made for over 400 years, but a mezcal that they could really adopt. And that was 2019. And now we're in 2022 with, a brand that's really changing mezcal, and bringing it, launching it in the US has just been an incredible experience and eye-opening and wonderful. And in Mexico, it's doing very well, which is interesting. It was a market that we were not too sure about. It's oversaturated. There's so many mezcals in the market, and we weren't sure, how Campante would do due to the fact that it is very, very smooth and it's very well balanced, and it's not like a lot of other mezcals in the market. It's done so well. So we really know that we've got a product here. And now it's just about, building it and getting it out to more people to try, because liquid to lips, once you try Campante, it really is an experience.
Well, and as we continue on, I figure what better way than to actually try it myself as we talk. So what should I expect? And for those that are kind of maybe trying, whether it's the Campante or mezcal in general, because it is new to a lot of folks, especially in the U.S. I mean, is it a drink that you can go, oh, you can actually drink that neat? Obviously, cocktails are going to play a part in any spirit, but what should I expect as I take my first sip?
So one of the beautiful things about Campante, well, let's talk mezcal. One of the beautiful things about mezcal is there is a smokiness to it. So when you take that first sniff, smell it in, really, really take a deep, deep breath, there's a beautiful smokiness to it. What you'll find with Campante, though, is that smoke is actually quite light. It's there, but it's not overpowering. It's not all consuming. What we like to do is you take that big breath in. It really opens up your senses, which is key. And it opens up the palate and prepares you for that taste. And then we like to tell you to take what we call a kiss, which is you just take a tiny little sip. You let the mezcal kiss your lips. It's the next step for us of really getting someone to understand and do a tasting. And then once you've got yourself ready, take another proper sip. And what you should experience is a real opening of the palate. We call it the spirit awakening, but also it's sort of awakening in you as well. And as you take a sip, you should notice that your palate will awaken, but there should be no burn whatsoever. And you're drinking this room temperature. And we think that we consider that a really good test. If you can drink this and really enjoy it, the possibilities are endless from this point. And what's really important is a lot of mezcals will fall into one of the two categories. They're great for sipping, or they're great for mixology and cocktails. Going back to one of the main points with the creation of Campante and what we really wanted it to be, it had to be well balanced. So you'll notice that it's very well balanced, which means that we want our consumers, we want our friends and family drinking it. We want our customers to be able to drink it how they would like to drink it. So whether you want to sip it neat, or you want to have it on the rocks with a twist of orange, all the way through to enjoying it, a Campante and soda with grapefruit is delicious, all the way through to mixology. And because it's well balanced, it's able to be enjoyed however you would like to. And I think that's important when it comes to, opening people up to mezcal, is that you now get to have your identity with it. You can have your preferred way, or you can have a few different preferred ways. Jonathan, what's your favorite cocktail?
Oh, that's a tough one. I love a good old fashioned, but I also love a smash.
Well, try this tonight in an old fashioned. I think you're gonna love it. But it works so well in things like, everyone knows, a smoky margarita. But there's so many other cocktails. I love a last word where you substitute the gin for Mezcal Campante. It's exceptional. And I think that's a really, really good test of the product. If it can be drunk in these different ways and enjoyed. And this is what we're aiming to do, bring to the market a mezcal that people can really enjoy and drink. Still premium, still artisanal, like I said, but they can really enjoy it.
I will have to give the old fashioned a try tonight, but that was very smooth. As you said, it didn't burn. It's not like when you think of maybe your younger days at tequila shots or things like that, and you go, oh, that was kind of good. That was smooth and all that. No, that's a very nice, just like you said, it's very well balanced. It's got a little bit of the smokiness, but it's not burning me on the way down. It's really nice. Now you guys use a blend of two different agaves, and what are those and why is that? Because I know I can read it, but I'm not going to be able to pronounce them, and I'm 2 for 2 with names, and I don't want to screw this up.
So we do an assemblée, which is an assemblée of Espadín agave and Baril, and that's you see Espadín on the market quite a lot in the US. It's a beautiful agave, but Baril is a little less known. It's wild agave. It's got a really interesting flavor profile. And for us, it was, that assemblée just made sense. And don't get me wrong, we did a lot of sampling. I sampled so much mezcal, when we were really getting the liquid of Campante perfect. The original liquid was beautiful. It really was great, but we really wanted to make sure that we had that very smooth, very well balanced mezcal. So we did a lot of sampling and we played around with the assemblée a lot. And this is what we landed on. And I think the two agaves coming together are really, really beautiful.
And for those that don't know, the tequila that you would get is usually Blue Weber. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
And that's mainly from one couple specific regions in Mexico. And so how do these two agaves kind of differ from that, from folks that are used to maybe a tequila as they would maybe branch into mezcal?
Yeah, so this is one of the beautiful things about mezcal. It's also a difficult element. Tequila is only made from fruit weber. It also doesn't necessarily need to be 100% agave, or as we say, maguey. It can be 51%, whereas mezcal has to be 100% maguey. And that's a really important point. But what is beautiful about the mezcal category, like I said, but can also be complicated, is there are many different agaves that you can use to make mezcal. And that can be often, that can often be quite daunting for the customer. They're not sure which agaves they're meant to be going for. They're like trying to figure that out. And I do encourage people when they try Mezcal Campante to go on a journey. We want to take them on that journey. We want them to go off, and we want them to discover other different types of mezcal made with different types of agave, so they can see the different flavors and really experience this incredible category. But it's a lot for people, and so with our first product, it was important that we had a flavor profile that they could really enjoy. Wasn't over complicated, wasn't too complex, and could start that step for them. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different agaves that you can use for mezcal. And when you go into the liquor stores, I always tell people, take a look at the different mezcals. Take a look at what they're. I always suggest going always for an artisanal. Ancestral is amazing as well, but always I say gravitate to an artisanal, like we are. And take a look at the different agaves that they're using, and try them. It's important. You're just going to awaken your love for mezcal, I feel. Of course, we'd like people to come back to Mezcal Campante and enjoy that. But it's all about opening up this beautiful market to people.
Well, and it is such a cool thing because, like you said, when people think of certain things like a vodka or to some degree tequila, while there are different variations of tequilas and things like that, there's not a whole lot of room in my mind for experimenting and getting a ton of different flavors. But mezcal, like you said, with kind of almost what people in the bourbon and whiskey world would call the mash bill, there is a difference. There is a variety, and you can get a lot of different things. And as I show the bottle, you mentioned it. It says Mezcal Artisanal. And now apparently we have great timing because I have just actually learned things about the Mexican spirits world as part of our Bar Conversation Spirits 101 series. There's a reason you say Mezcal Artisanal, and there are different levels of that now that can be put on a label. So what does yours mean, and kind of where does that fall in the tiers, so to speak?
Sure. So for us, it was really important that we were an artisanal mezcal. And that goes down to the way that it's made. It's made the same way that it's been made for over 400 years. It is a real artisanal, handcrafted product, quite farm to table. I mean, when you go and watch an artisanal mezcal being made in the palenques, it's extraordinary. We talk a lot about how making mezcal campante, or making mezcal in general, takes the heart of the agave and the heart of the mezcalero. And that is really important. It's those two coming together. Without our mezcalero, I mean, we wouldn't be where we are. His expertise, his craftsmanship is handed down by generations. And it takes him picking the agaves at the right time of the harvesting, to knowing how long he wants to cook everything, to the days that it takes to ferment, and then there's a whole process that cannot be rushed. It cannot be changed. It's up to him of when it's ready. And for us, it's magical. And you hear this a lot when people have the experience, when they go down and they see artisanal mezcal being made. They're like, this is a magical process. It is. It really is magical. You can't change any of this. You can't speed it up. It is done the same way it has been done forever. And that's really important to us. And that community is important to us, and that craftsmanship and the culture. And as we grow as a company and a brand, that is an area that we are really focusing on. And making sure that we are supporting and investing and being responsible. And I think that is a question that consumers should make sure they're asking. As this category grows, which we are seeing, we want to make sure that we're really gravitating to brands that are trying their best to do what is responsibly right. We're not all perfect. No one can be, no brand is. But it is important that that brand really be investing and supporting and working with the right partners, and not rushing this process. It really is beautiful.
And like you said, it's something people should look for, because you all have to put that on the label now. There are rules and regulations. I know that's kind of perfect segue into my next question, because the Mexican spirits industry has changed a good bit over time, because mezcal has has kind of grown and is going in so many different places and being enjoyed by so many people. How has it changed? Because I know now that they have to put pretty much what kind of level it is of mezcal and so
Yeah.
forth, and there's certain things that you have to do to earn those. So how has this industry changed as it's now becoming more to the forefront for most of us?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed. I talked to Jose Luis about this a lot, and how it's changed over the years, and what is the industry doing, and how can we make sure that we're working better. It has changed a lot, and I think it's going in the right direction of change, I feel, which is important. There's lots of more rules and regulations, and making sure that we know where it's coming from, and we know where our mezcal comes from. But in general, like understanding where a mezcal is being made and produced, and which palenque, and which mezcalero, and all of those kind of things are really important. And so that has been put in place over the last few years, which is great, because you can really start to see the source, the origin, where this is coming from. There's also, the rules and regulations of the sign off and the certificates with the spirits. Every time we produce, they have to be reviewed. The liquid has to be tested. And that's just so important to make sure that we're bringing to the market an exceptional, high quality product. We also make sure that we're working with the right partners. We're not some huge, big brand yet. Not yet. But, we make sure that our partners on the ground that we're working with, that they're experts, that everything is being done to the right level. And it's hard to say, the consumer, the customer should really be looking for this. That's hard, because what are they don't know what to ask for. But I would definitely make sure that they're looking for it to be an artisanal mezcal, that they can see the origin, and that they're looking for those key indicators on the packaging, on the bottle, which you can see. And I just, we work very closely with making sure that that what we're building here is a sustainable industry, and that people often ask me, they're like, oh, well, it's a premium mezcal. It's, some people find it, a little more expensive. I'm like, yes, because there's a whole process here. There's a lot of people involved in making this, and we're not cutting. We do not want to, you need to cut anyone along the way, and that's important. So, investing a little bit more in a premium product and an artisanal product, it is worth it, and it's important.
Well, and as consumers get to see this on the shelves more, obviously you can find Campante now in the U.S., and there's a whole a lot more that are coming to the U.S. It kind of gets a little daunting when you look at the shelf, because, like you said, it's still a newer category to most of us. I think this is like the second or third one I've tried, so I'm like fresh as it gets when it comes to kind of learning about this. What does all this mean for consumers, and how can they kind of get through all of that to kind of figure out what they might like, or even take that first step into it?
Yeah. So, I always say that Mezcal Campante is a perfect place to start.
Mhm.
Like we've touched on, it's exceptionally smooth. It's very welcoming as a mezcal.
Mhm.
But what I would then say, if someone really wants to go on the journey, take a look at trying some of the different unaged ones, which is what you're drinking here is a Joven, and that's unaged. Try some more of those. Try some different ones that have, are made with a different agave, maybe a different ABV. You'll notice that Campante is only 40% ABV, so that's on the lower side. We also distill twice, which makes a big difference on the smoothness. Try a few of those different ones, and then take the next step. Go and try an aged mezcal. When you're in different bars, talk to the bartenders, mixologists. That mixologists have been in love with mezcal for years. Everyone saying, oh, it's this new category, this new drink. No, it's been around for ages, and mixologists have loved it. They've adored it forever. It's just the customers are catching up. Talk to different mixologists, ask what they have, what they're enjoying. Try a number of the different. There are some amazing brands who've really paved the way for where we are today. And I cannot thank them enough for the work that they've done on, bringing exceptional mezcals to the market and different types of mezcals with different agaves, and really opening up and that educational process. We have still a long way to go with deepening people's understanding of mezcal. And I love seeing what different brands are doing. And I'm so thankful for what they're doing, because we all have to do this together. And I would, there are some great mezcals in various different liquor stores that don't cost a lot, that you can try and take home. What I do think is hard, though, for the customer often is trying mezcals at home. And this was I go back to what we said about how how Campante came about, and one of the big points was it had to be well balanced so that consumer, the customer, could enjoy it how they wanted to. And that's fun. You can really have some fun with Campante, like you are tonight. You're going to go try it in an old fashioned. But if you want to drink it on the rocks, you can. If you want to just have it with some soda and some grapefruit and keep it light and refreshing, you can. It's a very easy to drink mezcal, which I think is important for the customer today.
Absolutely.
Did that answer the question?
Absolutely, you did, because it is an interesting one. It's one that's been around. It's Mexican spirits aren't just tequila. It's a very big industry, and it's one, though, that a lot of us are still learning. And as folks dive into things and go, oh, maybe bourbon's not what I want, maybe there's other things. Mezcal can do a whole lot of things, because you can have those different flavors, those different agave plants. And for you all, as you kind of look toward the future, obviously you want to continue to grow the brand, and this is, I'm guessing, just step one. So what's next for y'all, as far as maybe other releases that you're hopeful for, or just kind of the long-term vision?
The long-term vision for Campante, it's I love being on this journey with this brand, and growing this company, and we've got so far to go. It's exciting. We will be bringing out some further SKUs, and don't worry, I'll make sure that you're one of the first to try the new one, which is coming out. And that's really exciting. We've really stayed true with that new expression for what was important to Campante. Mezcal that people can really enjoy, still a premium artisanal product that they can really enjoy, and that is easy to drink, that they can really adopt, not only the brand, the spirit, like really coming together. So that's very important to us. We will be introducing some very beautiful limited edition options as well that will come out. But for us, the growth is really about opening up this beautiful market. And I talk a lot about liquid to lips. I love it when I'm able to change someone's understanding and appreciation for mezcal. Like, I love it when we're doing tastings and someone's like, oh no, I'm not a mezcal person. I'm like, tell me why. Give me the information. When did you try mezcal? How did you try it? Let's talk about this. Like, I feel like I'm going on some mezcal therapy session in a way with the customer. And they're like, oh, I kind of tried it in this one place and didn't like it. I was like, okay, let's give you a taste of Campante. Let's take you on this journey again and see where we go. And I love it when their minds have changed, when they're like, oh, this isn't what I thought mezcal, like, I've always had it really smoky. And I'm like, no, that's just one type that you tried. And then maybe that wasn't right for you, but there's so much more to this category. And that's really lovely. I love experiencing that. So we're just going to do more and more of that and grow and keep opening people's minds and hearts to mezcal.
I love to hear that, and I have greatly enjoyed this as I continue to sip and it, like you said, it is very well balanced. It's not overly smoky, and it gives kind of an eye-opening thing to what can be done with mezcal and what is out there. And Shirley, I appreciate the time and just to share a little bit about Mezcal Campante, but also this burgeoning industry that is mezcal that is coming to the U.S. and becoming more and more prevalent.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. This has been great. I can't wait for us to have a mezcal together soon.
Absolutely.
And let me know how that old fashioned works out for you.
I will definitely do that, and that is what I'm looking forward to tonight.
Perfect.